Welcome back everyone to another ESO build video. Today is finally going to be the update to the Easy Tank. This is a very simple to use tank with the most basic things in mind. If you want a really complex tank, there's plenty of those out there, but this is for the new tank players. Yes, of course I'm going to show it at max level, but this is something to strive for. It's going to have lots of health, lots of stamina, can taunt stuff and hold stuff. Stay tuned if you want to see more of this.
How did you do that? How did you do that?
So let's start with the stats. We'll pop a potion and that's pretty much it. We are on 9.7k max magicka. Don't worry, we don't need a large pool. We just need good recovery, which is good because we have 1784, almost 1.8k recovery there. We're on 54.7k max health, which for a new tank is massive. We're on 18.6k stamina, and our resistance is a 36k spell resistance and 32.8k physical resistance. We are just close to touching cap on physical, and we are already over, unfortunately, on spell resistance. So you never, ever need an extra resistance buff. We're done. As you can see, my potion is about to wear off. My skill already did wear off. Buffs should now be gone, pretty much. And our resistances are staying still. That's right, it's built in. Now, we are on 64 attribute points into health. We are not putting any into stam here, but if you do feel like you need some more stamina, you can drop this down and put some into stamina to give you more ability to block. Now, if you push to about 20k stamina, you'll hit still over 50k max health, so that will be just fine. The choice is, of course, up to you. As you can see, we have major resolve all the time, so we constantly have a resistance buff. We're using flat, boring, max health, max stamina food. This is actually 5.4k max health almost, and almost 5k max stamina. And we're using the Xynode Stone to give us some more recovery. So that's it. Flat food, Xynode Stone, and all points into health. Very, very simple. Nothing you need to change there at all, unless you want more stamina. Bear in mind, your health will go down. Now, skills are going to be explained, of course, where they come from, why you use them, how you use them, and what to morph them into. Starting off with Igneous Shields. This is very, very simple. This is in the Earth and Heart skill line. This is the third ability you unlock. Starts off as Obsidian Shield, morph it to Igneous Shield. The more health you have, the stronger this damage shield is. So for us, currently, this is 11.6k damage shield. Basically, you can't take damage until this is gone or it runs out. And at the same time, when you activate this, your surrounding group members will also get a damage shield equivalent of almost 5k. 4.67, in fact. Very, very strong damage shield. Really good if you can sustain it, because we do have high recovery. You can borderline spam it in some situations, meaning you can protect your group and protect yourself with the same skill. You do get major mending from applying this skill as well, so any heals that you do will be 25% stronger. That's relevant for the next skill, which is Green Dragon Blood. This is in a Draconic Power skill line. It is the third ability you unlock. Starts off as Dragon Blood, morph it to Green Dragon Blood. Now, this is technically a heal, and the heal is scaled off of your missing health. So the bigger your health bar to start with, the more benefit you're going to get from taking advantage of that missing health heal. Also, while this is active, because this is a buff as well, just for being active, you will actually get health recovery and stamina recovery and minor vitality, increasing the heals that you receive. So if you heal yourself while this is active, so say for example it's already running and then you use it again, the heal will be stronger. Now, because we've got such a large health pool, and because this is percentage based, we can go very, very low safely and get a much larger heal from this in one pop and not use it as often as squishy tanks, which means our recovery is being utilized smarter. So, small health, spam heal, run out of juice. Large health, use it when you need it, juice more often. Very simple. But if you activate Igneous Shields first, you get Major Mending, increasing your healing done by 25%, which means this is stronger. So if you look here, it says 37% of your missing health. Activate this first. 45%. Shield first, heal second. Next up, this is your bread and butter new tanks. Puncture, morphed into Pierce Armor. This is a taunt. Stab the target, it will apply a major debuff, reducing its physical and spell resistance by 5280 for 15 seconds, and taunt it. So you strip resist so the DPS can hit harder, and you keep its attention. This is your aggro button. If this falls off, you lose aggro and it will go and punch someone and they'll die. So don't spam it, but do keep up that 15-second duration. Now, for those of you that are really, really worried about your timers and you want to OCD them to the final second, be very careful. You don't want it to run off. But what you can do if you are capable of keeping up mental timers or even physical ones, because you can see them in your buff timers if you go into your options, overlap this slightly. So to keep safe, you can use this once every 10 to 12 seconds ish to make sure that you never ever drop it. But if you're a little bit more advanced, you can wait a little bit longer, but don't have any gaps. Where the gaps are is where the mistakes get made, so be very, very careful. Taunt the enemy, keep it with you. Next up is Absorb Missile. This is very simple. Third ability unlock, starts off with defensive posture, morph it to Absorb Missile. You don't need to use this very often. It does scale off of your maximum health, so the higher your health, the stronger this is. Now, what you will do is activate it. It's quite expensive, so be careful. And you will put a damage shield on yourself, and it will absorb one missile type of effect. So an arrow, a fireball, whatever. If it's a projectile, you will absorb it, up to almost 17k damage of it, and when it's gone, you will heal. Remember, Igneous first, heals second. That's a 12k heal instead of a 10k. Not a massive difference, but it helps. Bone Surge is next. This is in the Undaunted skill line. Of course, if you're doing dungeons, you'll have this. This is the fourth ability you unlock. Starts off as Bone Shield, morph it to Bone Surge. This will give you a damage shield, and it is a stamina costing damage shield. So while this one here is Magicka, this one is stamina, and it will protect you for 30% of your maximum health. That's a 17.5k damage shield. And if someone takes a synergy off you from this skill, they will also, and your group, up to 6 people including yourself, gain a damage shield for 30% of their max health. So yours is already on you, you can give this to 5 more. If they take the synergy, they will get the damage shield and Major Vitality, increasing their healing received. So you protect them with the shield, and the heals coming in from themselves or other people are stronger. So you can actually stack these as well. So you can overlap this and this combined. Just bear in mind, of course, you may need to heavy attack quite a bit to keep this up because it is expensive. Don't spam it. If you heavy attack, you get stamina back. Just don't do that while a heavy attack is coming at you. Make sure you block the big stuff. While the big stuff is not coming at you, heavy attack to get your resources back. Now, the ultimate we're using is our Oh Shit button. This is absolutely amazing. One of the most underrated and overpowered ultimates in the game, in my opinion. This is Shield Wall morphed into Shield Discipline. This will give you block while you can run around at full speed without holding block. And all the rules for block are out the window. So, stamina recovery counts. Your heavy attacking, you can do. Your sprint speed, you can sprint. You can dodge roll, anything, while blocking. For free. Doesn't cost a thing. Just the ultimate. Doesn't cost any stamina. And, while this is active, all of your one-handed shield abilities are free. So you can apply taunts to multiple targets, you can apply this over and over and over if you have to. Any of these 2 abilities, or anything else from this skill line that you choose to use, will be free while this lasts. You can't be knocked down unless it's a very specific mechanic, and it's very, very helpful for rezzing people as well. So if people start going down really, really quickly, and you've got to try and res them while stuns are coming in, you can activate this, block for free, not be stunned, and res them from underneath it. You can heavy attack from underneath it as well. This is your Oh Shit ultimate. I would utilize this as much as you possibly can. Now, on the back bar, we've got Sanguine Altar. This is in the Undaunted skill line. Starts off as Blood Altar, morph it to Sanguine Altar. Now, this has a very long duration. It costs a small amount of health to activate, and it puts a funnel on the ground, or an altar on the ground. While this is active, anyone within a 28-meter radius of you will be given this really helpful kind of buff that is connected to the enemies, but gives back to your group. So if anyone in your group, yourself included, damages the enemies within this radius, they will get healed once every second. So as long as they're doing damage, you are helping them stay alive. And if they go too low health, they can actually take a synergy from this, and they will replenish 40% health. And yes, that can crit as well, based off of their own stats. So keep this up all the time, or as and when you need to. Protective Plate is next. This is here on purpose for very, very specific situations. This is the 4th ability you unlock in the Draconic Power skill line. Starts off as Protective Scale, morph it to Protective Plate. This will actually reduce the amount of damage you take from projectiles by 50% for 6 seconds. So if you are getting peppered with arrow sprays and all manner of nastiness, or you've got a snipe aiming right at you and it's a one-shot type hit, maybe it does 50k damage, who knows, and there's nothing you can do. You're in trouble right now. You're going to die. Hit this while it's in transit, you'll take 50% of the damage. It's very, very strong. You don't need to use it that often, but it's a nice skill to have there just in case you need it. This here is kind of a flex slot for anything else you really want to use. This is also quite good if you get Inhale and turn that to Deep Breath. You can actually Area of Effect to interrupt stuff, which is quite helpful in some mechanics. But again, this slot is really up to you. Bear in mind, of course, Absorb Missile does heal you if you got hit with a projectile. If it's too big and it will kill you anyway, you can stack the two. You can apply this, and as long as you hit this before it hits you, you'll heal off it, it will absorb it with a damage shield, and it will be reduced in overall damage as well. This is a bit of a nuts skill. But again, that's a choice. You can swap it for other things if you need to. It's literally a blank spot. I'm not putting anything else in there apart from that or Deep Breath, so if you've got any preference, go nuts. This is supposed to be very simple, so that's it. Inner Rage, also very simple. Undaunted skill line. Second ability, or third ability, in fact, you unlock. Starts off as Inner Fire, morph it to Inner Rage. Now, this is a ranged taunt. It doesn't have the Fracture and Breach on it like you have with your Pierce Armor. So when they get to you, you're going to want to stab them still. But this will get their attention at long range. It will also apply a synergy effect to it, so people can take that and blow them up. This, again, has the same timer as a regular taunt, 15 seconds. But if something won't come to you because it's a ranged damaging target, it's because you're inside of its range. If you taunt it and run backwards, it will run to you until you're in range, and then it'll stop again. So if you want to manipulate positions from enemies, what you can do is you can range taunt it, run backwards, and when it's in a position you want it in, run back to it, and now it's in front of you. That's for enemies that can't be chained. If they can be chained, you don't need to do that. You simply hit them with this. Unrelenting Grip. This is in the Ardent Flame skill line. Fourth ability to unlock. Starts off as Fiery Grip, morph it to Unrelenting Grip. This will pull them to you, and they'll land where your feet are. However, if they cannot be chained, if they are currently on cooldown from CC, maybe they're stunned recently and you can't chain them, then you will be able to refund the entire cost of the skill. So you won't waste it. But anytime you activate this, whether they come in or not, you'll get a speed buff. So you can use this in many different ways. You can use this to pull stuff to you, or you can deliberately use it on a boss or something that can't be pulled in order to give you a speed buff to change positions. Maybe you've got to go through mechanics and get to a certain place quickly. Speed buff and pull at the same time. Now, while they're pulled in, you want to keep them still. This counts as an effective stun. It doesn't technically stun them on the spot, but it is on the same cooldown as far as crowd control is concerned. But Immobilize is different. They're two different cooldowns. So what you can have is Draconic Power. Go to the second ability, unlock Dark Talons, morph it to Choking Talons. Once you've chained them in, you can pin them to the ground with this for 4 seconds, if they can be pinned. If they can't be pinned, you'll still get the effect that this offers, and that will apply Minor Maim to the targets for 10 seconds, reducing the damage they do by 15%. This Minor Maim works on all targets, even if they can't be immobilized. So even on bosses, you can still use this as a debuff. But effectively, in order, what you really want to do, chain them in, pin them up, stab them. They're all taunted, they're all stuck. Keep up your immobilization as much as you can so they don't run away, and pull stuff in if they try and leg it. That's it. Pull them in, pin them up, stab them. Keep your shields up for your group, heal if you need to. Block ulti if you get in trouble. This ulti on the back bar is also a very nice choice. Not as effective as the block ulti in terms of survival. And the reason I say that isn't because this makes you borderline immortal, it's because when you activate this, you still need to manage your resources. Now, what this will do, this starts off as Magma Armor, morph it to Magma Shell. Any damage you take will no longer be any more than 3% of your max health per hit. So that does make you very, very tanky. But if you block, it costs resources. If you use any skills, they cost resources, etc, etc, etc. You still have to do that stuff. You can still be knocked down. And it's 200 ultimate. But the block ulti, you can't be knocked down. You're blocking for free. Your taunts and stuff are free. You can heavy attack from underneath it. So as far as resource gain is concerned, you can activate this, heavy attack from underneath it, get your full bar back before it's run out, and you are in a really safe place. This, however, has a different usage. Some people like to use this to survive, but ideally use this for your group to survive. This will actually give your group 100% of their max health in the form of a damage shield. So if you just need to block for yourself and gain resources, or res people, use Shield Discipline. If you want to protect your group and make yourself really beefy at the same time, use this. Group protection, your protection. Group protection, your protection. If you go to PvP and you do have access to the Assault skill line, you can of course get Aggressive Warhorn and use that to buff your group. Starts off as Warhorn, morph it to Aggressive. This will give them minor force for 10 seconds and increase their Magicka and Stam amount by 10% for 30 seconds. But this is a more advanced choice. You don't necessarily have to have this if you don't want to. You can have two very simple skills, your protection, their protection. Simple as that. Again, the choice is yours. Now we're going to go into passives. These are very important, so do pay attention. Ardent Flame, of course. This increases the damage with burn and poison status effects. Now, if you do fire damage, you will get 500 magic back if you apply a burn and status effect. It's going to happen very, very rarely, but you could apply that via your Magma Shell if you're lucky, because it does flame damage in area of effect, or you could apply it via Unrelenting Grip. It's rare, but it could happen, so if you've got the spare skill points, of course, you can take advantage of this. If not, don't worry about it. As far as the poison side of this is concerned, we're not doing any poison damage, so that's irrelevant. So you can take it or leave it as far as this passive is concerned for this particular build. This is not really that important. If you do direct Ardent Flame damage, you will snare enemies. Yes, of course, that means that if you use Unrelenting Grip, they're slowed down when they get to you, but hopefully you're going to pin them up with Talons anyway. So again, hit and miss, it's entirely up to you. This increases your damage over time with select abilities from this skill line. Ignore that, you don't need it. This increases your flame area effect abilities and reduces the cost of poison abilities. Leave that too. Technically, you can dump these, but I would probably use this just in case a rare occasion happens and get a little bit of juice back. Draconic powers, of course, very important. This increases the amount of damage you can block. We're tanky, we want to block stuff. This, while a Draconic power ability is active, you will gain 12% healing received. Now, this here gives us an 8% increase healing received, but for being active, we benefit from this passive as well. So activating your heal ability as a buff, not just a heal, will give you both bonuses combined. This increases your health recovery. We're not a vampire, so we do actually have health recovery for Draconic power abilities on your bar, 5% for each one. We have one on the front, we have one on the back. In fact, we have two on the back. So that's quite helpful. And increases the range of your melee-based abilities by 2 meters, if they are 5 meter range. Our taunt is, so is our light attack, so is our heavy attack. Any of those are now extended. And this increases your spell resistance. Technically, you don't need to max this out. We are currently 3k over spell resistance cap. So technically we don't need it, but while leveling, while trying to get everything in place, while trying to get it all up to par, make sure of course you have it because it's going to help you. But once you've got everything 100% maxed, as you saw at the stats at the beginning, we're a little bit over. So again, take it or leave it. If you don't have the skill points for it, you're good. Normally I would never recommend you dump that, but since we're 3k over, you're safe. Now this will give you resources back. 52 health, 46 magicka, 46 stamina for every single point of ultimate cost. Now, most people assume using the higher cost ultimate for a tank is better. Technically, that's true, but not in this situation. Yes, the Magma Shell does cost more than the block ulti, so we will get more resources back. But if it's just for getting resources back that you're using the ultimate, take this, you block for free, you can heavy attack from underneath it. While this might fill a large proportion of your bar, then you still have to block and use your resources and taunt and all that good stuff. This will fill less of your bar, but you can get it back safely by heavy attacking. So out of the two, this one for resource gain is more efficient, but the bonus to this regardless is insane. So do, of course, make sure you use your ultimate at any given situation to make sure you keep your bars up. Really helpful. When you cast an Earth and Heart ability, you and your group gain minor brutality. So for activating your Igneous Shield, which you can borderline spam to protect the group, they will get 10% increase to weapon damage. And if you're in combat, you will generate 3 ultimate every time you activate your Igneous Shields, as long as you haven't activated one in the last 6 seconds. So you can activate this as much as you want, but once every 6 seconds is the only time you'll get the ultimate, or longer, not any sooner. So that's also helpful. And above all, this is nuts. Activating your Igneous Shield, so Earth and Heart abilities, will give you 990 stamina back. So we have high recovery to spam this, and each time we do, we get stamina back to be able to block or use our stamina abilities with. Very strong passives. Now, Sword and Board is very important. We're using double Sword and Board, both bars. So we don't need too many skill points, but you are going to want these. This will reduce the cost of stamina abilities that are in your skill line, and it will also reduce the cost of blocking. So these are cheaper, and so is your block. This will increase your weapon damage for these skills to make them hit harder, but we don't really need to worry about that too much, but we will take the reduction to damage we can take while blocking. This will improve your bash strength, but although that's not important, the cost reduction is, because you want to be able to interrupt, and it does get a bit expensive. This will increase the amount of damage you can block from projectiles. Remember, we've got very good range projectile protection. We've got this, which can heal us if we absorb them. We've got this, which will basically half the damage. It's really, really handy, especially alongside this. This will reduce the movement speed penalty while blocking also. You are slower while blocking unless inside the block ulti. So we take the passive so we can move quicker. We don't use any other weapons. We don't use any other armor types. No medium, no light, no nothing. We're using all heavy, keeping it nice and simple. Increase to physical and spell resistance per piece. Increase the health recovery per piece. And restore of magicka and stamina for taking damage once every 4 seconds. This will increase your max health per piece. This will increase the amount you get back from stamina or magicka depending on what weapon type you're using if you heavy attack. You have to have 5 pieces of heavy for this. We're using only stamina based sword and board abilities, so we'll get 25% more stamina back for each heavy that we do. Remember, you can heavy attack under this block shield. Very handy. And this will increase your healing received furthermore. So you've got 8% here, you've got 8% here, and you've got 12% for having this active in the first place. We will want this one passive. It's very rare that you're going to kill anything because we're not built to kill stuff. We're built to tank stuff. But if you do kill an undead, daedra, or werewolf by accident, you'll get 9 ultimate back. That can be helpful. And of course, Undaunted, very important. If you take any synergy, you will restore 4% of your entire resource bars. Every synergy you take will do this. No matter what their side effect or main bonus is, this will happen as well. So make sure you take every single one you can see. We're using just heavy armor, so for using that type, we actually do get 2% across the board for all 3 resources. We've deliberately gone 7 heavy and not taken the 4% extra from each resource because we've already got the 4% extra for having 7 pieces instead of 5 for the health. And the magic and stamina is not that important. We don't need a high magicka pool because none of our abilities scale off of the size of our magicka pool. They scale off of the size of our health bar, and they are utilized by high recovery. So high recovery, small pool, lots of health. So this is absolutely fine where it is. We are, of course, a Nord. Nice and simple. This increases your max health by 1k. Very nice. And you have cold resistance. And you're immune to chilled. So any chilled status effect doesn't affect you. This increases your stamina by 1.5k. And when you're in combat, any damage you take, so if you are being hit, you will gain 5 ultimate once every 10 seconds. So keep getting hit. This will keep happening. And finally, of course, this increases your physical and spell resistance by 3960. Almost 4k physical and spell resistance. We are tanky as hell, and that is why it is so easy to overcap as we are, with no extra bonuses. So, we're done. We've got high resistances, high health, high stamina, free abilities sometimes depending on what ultimate we're using, ulti regen, everything is exactly where we want it. You will want medicinal use. This will increase your potion timers, duration, and make them last over the cooldown. The cooldown is 45 seconds. The potion duration for the tripods we're using, which is health, stamina, and magicka, is 47. So keep them up all the time. Constantly keep using your potions as soon as they're ready. Now, we're going to get into the gear. This is going to be very, very simple. Now, if you are looking for something advanced, you are in the wrong place. If you're looking for Eben and Alkosh, then you already found it and should still be on that video, not this one. So while that is a choice, that is not what this build is. Sorry if that's confusing. But for those of you that do know what this is about, being easy tank and being easy to get into and very straightforward, taunt stuff, chain it, hold it still, this is more for you. So we've got Plague Doctor, sword and board on the front bar and the back. We've gone with different weapons just to make it less confusing when you swap bars, so you know that you're on that particular bar, but the one-hander doesn't make a difference at all. But sword and board on both bars. You want sturdy on both the shields with stamina, and you want decisive on both the weapons. The back bar and the front bar glyphs are 100% up to you. You can use a crusher, you can use a damage shield, you can use a magicka damage and return health, you can use anything you like, you can even use poisons. You're not limited, and I'm not going to tell you that you are. But go decisive on both of them, because whenever you gain ultimate, you have a chance to gain 1 more. You don't need defendant, we've got really high resist anyway. Now, you also want 3 pieces jewelry or 3 pieces body. The reason I say jewelry is because the next set is crafted and it's quite expensive to make jewelry, but 3 jewelry pieces, all healthy, all mag recovery. This set is very simple. It gives you health, 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 and more health. So you're really, really chunky. No more explanation needed there. This, by the way, is in Deshaan from world bosses, quests, overland trash, and also public dungeons and all that good stuff. So that means, yes, you can buy this on the market. It's tradable. Chudan is the monster helmet. Sometimes you can get this from Cyrodiil at the weekend if you're lucky. Failing that, you'll have to go into Veteran Ruins of Mazatun to get this. Now, this is a max health glyph piece. They are both heavy, the helmet and the shoulders. And this will give you armor, so resistances, health, which is nice, and forever you have major resolve. Your physical and spell resistance is there with you 100% of the time. You do not need a buff for it. That makes the build less complicated. May take a little bit of practice to get Mazatun done. Failing that, in the meantime, of course, you can use any other monster set you prefer, but this will give you that free slot on your back bar or front bar, whatever you want, to never need a resistance buff. You'll never need to track that timer, and it will never, ever run out. So, Chudan on the head and shoulders. Now, the crafted set you want is one of my favorite sets in the entire game. This is Deathwind. It's a 2-trait crafted set. And to make things even easier for you, this has armor, health, and health. Again, very flat stats. And when you take melee damage while under 35% health, you know, that oh shit moment where you should be pressing your heal, maybe you're out of magicka for God knows what reason. Maybe you can't heal and you're frantically trying to press that button and it's just going click, 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 and nothing's coming out. Don't worry. If you take melee damage while under 35% health, you will knock back all enemies that can be knocked back by 8 meters, so they'll go sliding across the room on their back, and they'll be stunned for 4 seconds. And this can happen once every 15 seconds. It used to be every 30, now it's every 15. So you have so much room for forgiveness if you get low health a lot. You shouldn't, because you're tanky as hell, but if you do, if stuff's hitting you too hard, you're making too many mistakes, do not worry. This will knock everything across the room and give you that breathing space to recover. So this is a very, very safe tanking recovery set, especially if you're new to tanking. I made loads and loads of characters in the past with this set, even leveling DPS and healer types, just to give me that extra freedom to not be dead if shit hits the fan. It's really handy. So to recap, decisive on the weapons, both Plague Doctor, and sturdy on the shields, both Plague Doctor, jewelry or Plague Doctor, Deathwind on the body, Chudan on the helmet and shoulders. Yes, if you have the Plague Doctor body pieces already, you can, of course, craft the weapons for Deathwind instead. Just make sure, no matter what order you put these in, you have both full 5-piece sets on both bars. Really simple stuff. Now, champion points. Of course, I understand that most people will not necessarily be max level when they're looking at this particular build, but this is what you want to strive towards. If you want to know where to put these if you're much, much lower, then there is a guide on the website for this, where I actually show you where you should be aiming for in the early stages. That is linked in the description. But if you are maxed and you're new to tanking, or maybe you just prefer this kind of style, here is where you want to put these. 72 into Ironclad to reduce the amount of damage you take from direct damage. These two will fill up your Hardy and Elemental, so your Magicka types, your physical types, all covered for the same. This will also reduce the amount of dot damage you take. If you have the Unchained passive, which we do, by the way, you break free, you have a 80% reduction to your next stamina ability. Make sure you taunt or bone shield or something expensive. In fact, bone shield. Taunt's not expensive at all. Quick recovery is very important. This will increase your healing received again. And if you're resurrecting someone, especially if you're using a block ulti, which is insane, you will actually take 15% less damage. Pop that ulti, hit that res button, you take barely any damage. 56 points into Warlord to reduce the cost of break free. 64 in Tenacity. Make sure you heavy attack. Do heavy attack between mechanics. If you're not getting hit right now, or it's not a big hit, hit them back. Get that resource back. 75 points into Magicka recovery. Of course, we want as much recovery as we can get. Ignis Shield is not scaled off of max Magicka, so you don't need a big pull. It's scaled off of max health. Dragon Blood is not scaled off of max Magicka. It's scaled off of max health. It just costs magic. So the faster we can recover, the more often we can spam it. You don't need a big pull to do that. A big pull would just be spam, spam, spam. Oh god, I'm empty. A small pull with high recovery is spam, full again, spam, full again. You see where we're going with this. 9 points into Tumbling to reduce the cost of a dodge roll. 66 into Shadow Ward to reduce the cost of block. Furthermore, on top of all the sturdy we already have. Again, traits are not the end of the world, but they do help if you can stack into sturdy, because then we use less stamina. We do have the treasure hunter passive, of course, which means if you loot chests, you have a heightened chance to get higher quality loot. 75 into Bless to increase our healing done. 72 into Elfborn to increase our crit heals. Yes, you can crit heal from Dragon Blood. There is a video link in the description for Vengeance OP, and I fully explain how to utilize this very cheap passive here. 10 champion points in this tree will unlock that passive. If you successfully block 3 spells in a row within 10 seconds of each other, the next critical strike you do is a guaranteed crit. Igneous Shields does not consume that, and it will increase your next heal by 25%. Dragon Blood does consume it, you're guaranteed a crit. So go really low health, block 3 spells, hit Igneous Shields, boost your next heal. You can actually go from 0 to full in one click. That's a 55k heal right there. 3 points of Master at Arms because we've got nowhere else to put them, and these are used strategically. 49 into Mighty, just to increase our physical damage for no reason other than to put the points here. 71 into Firmitage for no reason other than to put the points here. We can't really use them anywhere else anyway, unless we want to stack into this, which is going to be high diminished returns. There's no point. So we'll utilize these useless, we don't know what to do with them because we're a tank skills, and get 120 points in here. Then, it gives us Last Stand. If we fall very low health, not only does our Death Wind knock everything across the room, but we gain ultimate very, very fast. So while you're recovering, your ulti is generating really quickly for 9 seconds, plus you've got time to heal. This is a kind of safety ultimate boost for recovery while you're physically recovering. Now, there's not really much to show as far as demonstration is concerned. Keep up your Igneous Shields for your group and watch your recovery while keeping up your potions. Use a Bone Shield as and when you need to, and remember, they stack. Keep up your Dragon Blood, because you'll want to keep up that buff and utilize it as a heal as and when you can. And if you get in trouble with big projectiles, no one's interrupting quick enough, it's coming your way, you're gonna get it, stick your flappy wings on. Now, you can keep up your funnel so long as you are remembering to do so. It's quite a long duration, and you must, above all, the one thing you must always do is this: keep up that 15 seconds taunt. Keeps up a debuff and keeps up their aggro on you. If that runs out, you're a bad tank. Make sure that overlaps and never runs out. Just don't spam it, because sometimes bad things can happen. You'll run out of resources for a start. So now it's time for fashion. So we have no helmet showing, of course. We are going hatless in this one because he looks mega. Our chest is Pyre Watch Curious, so that's a heavy chest there. The shoulders is heavy Daedric. The hands are Mercenary Medium. The belt is light Dramathra. The legs are in fact Pyre Watch again, and they are heavy. The feet are Ebon Heavy again, so more heavy. The mace is actually a Nord Mace 4, so the highest one. The shield is Ancestral Nord, and the back bar we've got different weapon and shield on purpose, because when you swap bars, sometimes you might not realize you're on the wrong bar, and it helps to have a different visual. So we've taken the Soul Shriven Sword, which is quite easy to get hold of, and we've got the Thieves Guild Shield. Now, the colors we're using are deliberately quite easy to acquire. Now, the black itself, not necessarily so much. But we have got a very good yellow for that. So the black itself, you can go with Cold Harbor Ash if you prefer, but if you do a bit of PvP, maybe one of your characters unlocked it, you can use Legate Black. Failing that, you've got Thalmor Black, which is probably easier to get. Bear in mind, the new update that's coming in the next couple months or so is going to have a new black dye, which is going to be very easy to get, especially if you don't do much kind of end game stuff or heavy PvP. So if you do want something really dark, that is coming. But for the time being, if you don't have Legate's Black, you can use Thalmor or Cold Harbor Ash. That's simply completing the main story. Now, the gold we're using is actually very straightforward. We are using the Deconstructor achievement, the Craft Master Gold. So if you've done your crafting, and I'm sure you have done because you've made the gear already to put on the character, then I'm sure you've got some achievements unlocked. Keep doing it, you'll get this color here. So all of this will be on the website. Of course, there'll be a screenshot showing all the different individual palettes, so then you can get this exactly the same if you want. So hopefully that helped, hopefully that wasn't too boring, hopefully you now have a better understanding of how to approach this very simple, unique build. This is a straightforward tank. Taunt stuff, chain stuff, pin it up, don't let it run away. Health, stamina, resist, done. If you're not subscribing already, please do hit that button. It is free. Furthermore, if you want to help support outside the channel, there are some links in the info section for Patreon, Twitter, Facebook, the website XynodeGaming.com, where this written guide is as well. And of course, I live stream on Twitch every night except for Wednesday at 10 PM UK time, unless I say otherwise on Twitter. Once again, thank you very, very much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.